Before I begin, I want to thank Nintendo UK for sending me the Nintendo Labo Vehicle Kit to review. Not too long ago I got the chance to review the Nintendo Labo Variety Kit, and I'll link to that at the end of this review, if you missed it. After this, Nintendo released the Robot Kit, which I have skipped, and then 6 months later launched the third Labo title, the Labo Vehicle Kit. This new Labo Kit focuses on 3 forms of transport: car, submarine, and plane, offering different game modes based around each. But can this Labo rise the brand off the ground and into the sky, or will it cause it to sink into the deep? Let's find out. Just like the first Labo kit, I'm going to forego our traditional review structure and talk about each creation individually, starting with the Labo pedal and key. These are the first Toy-Cons in this pack, not including the Joy-Con holder, which I still feel is as pointless as it was in the first Labo kit. Both the Labo pedal and key are required to use any of the vehicles, the pedal to accelerate and the key to swap between the different modes of transport. Building this one was simple and actually quite fun. It doesn't take too long to build and the elastic bands react well and really create the pressure of pressing down on a pedal. There is one issue with this Labo though, and that is how solid it is. Now obviously it's made of cardboard and can only be so stable, however unlike other Labo, this one requires being stepped on. It doesn't need your whole weight, but this Labo is used the most out of any of the pack, and will constantly be under the pressure of your foot. And after extended use, I found parts of it beginning to morph. It didn't make the game unplayable at all, but it does make me worry about how long it will last. So the key can't be used on its own, and while the pedal is also designed to be used with all the other Toy-Con creations in this kit, it can be used for the RC car minigames. There are 2 in fact. One of these is a time trial where players simply accelerate and have to control their speed in order not to fall off the track. The other game is basically the same, but now you're racing other cars. Some of the early tracks are really easy. In fact, in the first one I never lowered my speed and was fine. But later tracks do require control. It's a nice distraction, but nothing more. Now on to the Labo car. This is the centerpiece of the whole kit and gets the most use after the pedal and key. This hulking device also takes the longest to build, with lots of intricate parts in a big cardboard casing. Thankfully it all works really well and feels responsive, but it's definitely the biggest Labo I have made so far, and once again brings in the issue of storage I mentioned in my Labo 1 review. However, unlike the Variety Kit where most of my time was spent making the Labo rather than playing with them, I can't say the same this time. You get a lot of use out of the Labo car. First off there is the racing mode, which feels exactly like the Labo motorbike from the first Variety Kit, however this time you're in a car. The car comes with a steering correction found in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to help keep you on the track, and I really needed it here, as on 200cc I just flew straight into the out of bounds zone. Just like with the Labo motorbike, this is a really fun mode to play. I wish I could say the same for the battle mode. Here players drive in their cars and can use the levers on either side to punch opponents' cars with arms like spring fists. There are items players can use and a changing environment, at least gimmicks wise. The problem with this mode is that the CPU are laughably unresponsive, so it can only really be enjoyed with friends. The problem? Once more you only get one of everything, and so you require knowing another friend who has their own vehicle kit, or just making your own out of cardboard, which the game does encourage doing by providing spare stickers and just spare cardboard. Now, there is one more mode called Adventure Mode, but I'm going to talk about this after the next 2 segments, as they all contribute to this in some way. So instead, let's dive deep. The Labo Submarine is the second biggest Toy-Con in this pack and has 2 steering wheels, one on either side. It doesn't take as long as the car to build, but it is the most monotonous, thanks to how it is controlled. Using 2 wheels and a set of gears, players can control the propellers to push themselves left and right to move through the water. To get this feeling, players have to create 2 of nearly every part, and that means half of the development time is simply just repeating yourself. This was a bit dull and made the submarine the least interesting to make. It is also the least interesting to play as well. Most of the game's content is on land, and with enough determination you can drive the car across the water as well. Diving is all you need the sub for, and it's pretty dull. It's also the hardest to control, which doesn't make it as fun as the other 2. It's certainly no plane. Speaking of which... The Labo plane is a pretty easy Toy-Con to make, and is a decent size. The cardboard manages to replicate a spring really well, although much like the pedal, I do worry that it may wear out over time. Now the plane itself is really fun. It is a little difficult to land, but it's a plane, so I'm not surprised. Simply flying around feels wonderful, and firing missiles to pop balloons is also pretty fun. The plane is definitely my favourite of the three vehicles, but it runs out of fuel the fastest, so it requires constant topping up. So let's talk about the main mode of the Labo Vehicle Kit, Adventure Mode. The Adventure Mode gives you an island split into 10 sections that players can travel around in an open world style. Each section has missions that require use of the car, submarine and plane to solve. These can range from topping up fuel and finding a flag to reuniting a baby dinosaur with its mother or helping a mermaid gain her legs. This mode is really fun. It's perfectly designed to give players the freedom to traverse its many environments, and it never feels too large. There is plenty to do, which already makes it better than the last Labo games. However, if you believe every vehicle is made equally, you would be wrong. The majority of the missions require the car, and you can only fuel up your tank in car mode. Car mode is the only one that gives you extra extensions like a saw blade and a radio, and included in this is the fuel hose. However, fuel is used in every vehicle, and so it means to fill up you have to be in the car, and this is also the only way to save and open up the map. This all makes the car the main focus, and the other two simply feel like afterthoughts. This helps to contribute to not fixing an issue I had with the first kit. There you had to make each of the Toy-Con in a set order, but here you have the freedom to make them in whatever order you want. At least that's what the game wants you to think. In reality, if you don't make the car before the other two, then you can't save the game, and so you will make no progress. And if you don't do the pedal and key first before any of them, then you can't even play. Thankfully, the car is the best one, and each Toy-Con works in tandem this time, so they should all be made eventually. Overall though, Adventure Mode is really fun, and you can get a lot of time out of this, unlike with the Variety Kit, and it helps make this Labo feel like an actual game. If you put this game in for the first time and thought you had activated the wrong Labo title, you'd be forgiven. Labo 3 looks almost identical to the first one in its UI, with the exact same make, play and discover sections. It even shares the same music, which makes the game feel more like an extension rather than the next game in the series, which does feel a bit weird. Even stuff like the stadium in the racing mode is identical to the stadium in the first game, real deja vu. Thankfully, the adventure mode has all new content and quite a cute aesthetic. As Labo is a toy, every element of this world is also a toy, from the NPC to the few enemies. The animation is limited, but it has a special charm that increases the game's appeal. Unfortunately, the new music is mostly non-existent. There are a few mock radio noises when at the gas station, but most of the music for Adventure Mode is just background ambient noise and nothing memorable. Overall, I do like the presentation here, but it's just too similar to the first title. If you have ever been interested in Nintendo Labo, then I fully recommend starting here. The novelty of Labo still exists and making it is a lot of fun, however this time there is actually a game attached. Labo Vehicle Kit really feels like they took the criticism of the first two and improved on it in every way. It's still not a fully fledged game, on the likes of Zelda, Mario or even Pilot Wings, which is its closest relation. However, the time you will put into this more than justifies the price, and the feeling of just driving or flying around an open world is great. I had fun with this Labo, and I hope the quality just goes up from here. Before I go, I would like to thank Nintendo UK once again for sending me a copy of this Labo kit to review. As for everyone else, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to give a special shout out to all of our patrons, in particular the super patron, the Duke of Dorks. Link to his channel is in the description below. With that guys, I hope you enjoyed, and remember to always return to the source.